Welcome to the stream, everybody. Hello. It's GM prep time. Game master preparation time, and I have much to prepare for, my friends. So if you are not aware of what the heck is going on, or you're just tuning in and you're like, Adam is live, what's happening? So we have a new Zweihander game that is occurring, a new campaign. It just started. We did session 0 last session, which was on Monday. And now that we finally have characters and a world, I have to do my job and I have to prepare that world and those characters for adventure and excitement and grimness and perilosity. So that is the plan for today. I'm going to basically be building my framework for the campaign. I know a few givens about it, and we'll talk about that. The game will by necessity include certain things and not other things. We'll talk about that. We'll kind of aim the game at the players, and we'll do the thing. But before we do any of that, what I want to do is refresh my mind, right? Get my brain going about what the game wants from me, right? Because I know as a game master, I know the things that I will do no matter what, right? I know how I'm going to run the game. I know some of the things I'm going to bring to the table because I'm me. So I know the kinds of NPCs I'm probably going to bring in and that kind of stuff. But I want to make sure that I am playing the game according to the designer's intent, right? Start from there, and then I can start to bend and adjust as needed. But I think what I want to do is I want to take a look and I want to see what Zweihander expects from me first. So let's do that, because I need to polish up. I need to polish up a little bit on my my GMing this game. So the game mastery chapter in this it gives us a lot of additional rules stuff, which I'm not really going to linger on today. So my plan for this session, while we sit down and do this, right? My plan for this GM prep is review what the game wants, right? Kind of boil down what I'm expected to do from my position as GM, right? And then kind of reestablish where we landed after session 0, right? What were the characters about? Kind of what is the agreed upon situation? Then think about adversity and structure and give the characters basically a bang. So I'm gonna hit the table with aggressively and intentionally. Now, before we get into all of that, I will remind you, since this is the beginning of a brand new campaign, the schedule for it so far is going to be live episodes every Monday at 5 p.m. Pacific right here on my channel, right? And then I think probably Thursday morning will be the VODs on YouTube, right? So you can watch it 4 days early if you're a sub to the channel. Otherwise, it'll come out on YouTube. And we'll try to sort of stagger the stream and the YouTube version as we go. It's going to be another 11 episodes, right? We had episode 0, so we're going to have 11 episodes. So I've pretty much got a season of an HBO show, right? I've got a season of an HBO show to tell this story, right? To put these characters in danger, to give them opportunities. It's pretty much going to be one main thing with maybe a secondary side story or 1 or 2 episodes where we take a little bit of a side angle. But I'm really thinking about it as a season of a TV show. That's going to be the way I'm going to be thinking about building this thing, because really that's what we're doing, right? So let's take a look at the game itself and kind of what Zweihander wants from me. So the beginning of the GM chapter talks about the themes of the game, which we talked about a little bit in the session 0. But for me, these things are important to remember, because as I create the universe, as I create adversity, I want it to fit into these themes of the game. That's how we play the game, according to what the game is about. So Zweihander, it is a game in which the world is described multiple times as grim and perilous, which means grim attitudes, perilous outcomes. So we have this grim attitude. For me, this feels very we're not D&D characters in this, right? We're not heroes. We're not even Batman. We might be like Rorschach if we're real unlucky. But the characters in this are they're pretty grungy individuals, and that grim attitude comes from everyone recognizing that, right? That it's not about being a hero, it's not about changing the world, it's about gritting your teeth, scowling your way through the problems, and recognizing that, like, yo, we all live in a world where everything is shit. And I'm going to talk to you a little bit about how I'm going to twist that. I have an adversity angle that's going to make, you're going to see, it's going to make this come into sharp highlight. So I've got a real good handle on grim attitude already, right? A lot of people just covered in mud, feeling shitty. Darkest dungeon, right? This is the grim fantasy. How do you know he's a king? Well, he's not covered in shit, right? So that massive difference between the rich and the poor, we did some of that in the building of the world. For us, it's going to be about you live in the muck, and you're probably never going to be able to climb out of the muck. But what you could do if you really want to is you could get some of those clean, rich motherfuckers and you could drag them down into the muck with you, right? Yeah, fatalism, this kind of like, well, I'll be dead tomorrow, which in a way I think frees the characters up to care less. We have this kind of nihilistic free fall. And then, yeah, if it comes up, anything that shines brighter as a result of how gritty and garbage covered the rest of the world is, right? So we pair that up. We pair the grim attitudes up with the perilous outcomes, which means that the game's systems, this is where the game talks about this, the game's systems create an environment of mechanical integration of that attitude, right? That the rules of this game, the perilous outcomes from the mechanism's engagement, right? Those are going to follow from the grim attitude. So the dice are going to tell the same story. This is why I think that as a brief aside, this is why I think that grimdark fantasy doesn't work in Dungeons and Dragons, because D&D is a game about fantasy superheroes and really struggles to feel gritty or dark at all, because the mechanisms really want you to win, and they kind of ignore things like starvation and frostbite and diseases and what have you. But these characters will not get away with that. So yeah, it's going to be about struggle. It's going to be about ignorance in a world that is ominous and dangerous to you. And then it's like, well, what do you do about that? How do you survive, right? How do you exist in this place? So continuing with the themes expected from the game, we're talking about ignorance and superstition, right? Everyone in the world, even if they think they have the answer, they don't have the whole answer, right? Now, if you're a peasant, if you're a crappy nobody, and the only thing you know how to do is muck out sewers, maybe you know a little bit about that, but you probably don't understand how the world works. You probably don't know how medicine works. You don't know how, like, these characters don't exist in a place. They come from a place of ignorance, right? That is the prevailing dominant paradigm. And what's going to be interesting about portraying ignorance and superstition is showing in what ways do people know that they're ignorant versus are they ignorant of their ignorance, right? So for me, again, the fun thing is going to be portraying characters who think they know everything, but really don't. And we see some of that come up with like religion in the game, right? Cults that think they have all the answers. They believe in a particular way of things, but they don't really understand. And what's really cool is that Amber's character, the ogre, her entire religion, like that ogre's entire religion, we explicitly pointed out, like, okay, this religion's fake though, right? Like, you know that this thing, you're being manipulated by a larger, more dangerous entity, right? Like a demon is probably twisting your people's beliefs. Is that okay? And I love that she said to me, she's like, yes, don't tell me what demon it is. Don't give me any details. I want to play in ignorance, right? So this is a thing. It is a what is described in the book as a permanent culture of misunderstanding. So I'm going to definitely work that in, and we'll talk a little bit about that as we continue. Again, the vibe, right? And this is a vibe that we see in some dark fantasy, this fractured fairy tales vibe, where it's like the OG version of these things that we're used to from Disney, right? Where we want it to feel like there's a sense of like almost dark whimsy right? This idea of like, if it weren't about children being eaten by a witch, you might be like, oh, haha, how whimsical. But it's, yeah, exactly. It's like Dark Souls for sure, more than adventuresome romp. Dilapidated temples. Yeah, people who think that they can be protected by things, but that they're wrong and arrogant about that, right? Two of my favorite things to combine are hubris and ignorance, and fairy tales and Aesop's fables and like that stuff. They're all about that. They're all about like, look at how foolish you are. Yeah, it's got a little bit in common with Ravenloft, definitely. It's less gothic romance Ravenloft and more some of the kingdoms in which things are pretty gruesome, right? So, yeah, okay, all right. So we got Fractured Fairy Tales. We got to kind of come at it from a theme where it's got to have a sense of sort of familiarity, right? Like, we can lean into some of these archetypal stories as we build our own. So again, we talked about low magic, high fantasy, right? We have one magic user. They might encounter one other one in the game, but that's it. That's how it goes. Divine magic users, arcane magic users, they exist in the universe, but we'll see them kind of as we'll see them as we go. I have some ideas about how this might play in, but mainly I'm going to be focusing on, again, Amber's character because she's the only magician in the party. The influence of chaos, corruption, right? I love this stuff. I don't even need to read this section. I know how to do this. I've been doing evil magical corruption since forever. And this idea that moral and ethical corruption becomes manifest, and this ties in to the Fractured Fairy Tales, right? Where it's like, you're cursed such that your visage reflects your black heart. And that so eventually you become gnarled and twisted and evil looking because you're evil on the inside. So for me, like corruption, this is just the game giving me permission and mechanisms to say, yeah, so this person who is supposedly a good guy, they are falling to corruption. And you can, if you know where to look, you can learn kind of how to see those signs. And in the same way, those who have embraced corruption may gain power from it, right? So the remaining nobles that exist or powers that might get allayed against the characters. So this is my job. This is the most important bit, right? This is my role. This is what I am going to do in this game. So become comfortable and familiar with the rules. I am working on that. We're going to do that together. That's part of what I'm doing here. Understand translating mechanisms and narrative, right? When the players say what they want to do, part of my job is going to be, here's the mechanism for that, right? That flows from the first principle. Convey the themes and tones of a grim and perilous world, right? So there's probably going to be jokes. There's going to be, a bit of like players joking about stuff and breaking character, and that's fine. But my job as GM is going to be conveying the themes and tones. So bring it back to that darkness. Focus on the characters, right? Bring the stage back to where we want it to be, so we can continue to build the adventure out. Understand all the sort of plot points behind the scenes. Be flexible. This one's easy for me because I'm going to do very little concrete prep. Maintain an immersive atmosphere. Again, like try to keep people on task. I'm not a big immersion fan in role-playing games, but we talked about this during session 0. The idea of director stance and player stance. Right? And kind of like moving back and forth between those two and encouraging the characters and the players to participate in that, right? Yeah. And then act as referee, interpret the rules, and be prepared before we begin the game. So I feel like, all this stuff fits right in with what I was thinking about, what I need to do. I'm going to have to think about how to structure this because it's sort of like a one shot, but it's longer, right? It's a mini series. So I'm gonna have to think about where these particular events might fall, but I also have to be open to the players kind of pursuing their own thing. So we've talked a little bit about shaped narratives, right? So if you watch me play a video game, it's an 11 shot, exactly. If you've watched me play a video game, I've probably talked about narrative shaping or shaped narrative, right? So the narrative starts at one concrete point, right? This is the beginning. I describe where we start, And then we become diamond shaped in that you can go out and do whatever you want, right? I'll set the scene. We'll begin the game. We all agree that eventually we're headed to a specific goal, but the middle, the options become wider and less clear until we reach a point where we start to tighten the diamond back in towards that end goal, right? So basically, I'm going to create adversity, or it's called the situation. So I'm going to create the situation, present it to the players, and then they're going to pursue it. And as they're pursuing it, I'm going to keep track of the world and kind of what's going on in it. So when I begin a game, and I love this, like things to do at the beginning of the game, right? So remember to account for the fortune pool, which I've done. We want to review everybody's damage, make sure everybody spends the reward points, which will be a thing I do at the beginning of the next session. Update their equipment, make sure their character sheets are ready to go, and then we jump in. So I think the only other thing that I really need to dig into as far as rules go is experience, right? How do I hand out reward points? Right now, most of this chapter is things like wilderness travel, various GM rules. Here we go, reward points. So in Zweihander, there's no like default experience model, right? Which is really, really interesting. The focus is on playing your character and engaging your alignment and looking at that stuff, right? But reward points tend to come from customized, if you look at them over here, customized milestones. So it's sort of like at the end of a certain point, we check and see what they've done, and then we reward them points for having done things. Now, in a published adventure, that's pretty set, right? Because you know what's going to happen, you know what's the constraint, but yeah, it's like a longer term group goal system. So the suggestion here is, and you know what, I'll start a section for this in my doc here. So I've got a little Google Doc I'm going to work on. So let's do, here we go, rewards. So the game suggests about 100 reward points every 4 to 6 sessions, which gives me a budget basically of between 300 to you get 106 session, you get, oh no, it'd be 200. It's less than that. I think this is per PC, yeah, because you start with 900. So if I give out, let's say I give out, Jesus Christ, I gotta do math. This was not on the list of things I'm responsible for. Let's see. Okay, so if we get 100 reward points times 3 sessions, basically. So it's, yeah, between 300 and I guess double that. No, double half that. I don't know. Let me see. Okay, 100. If we do it every 6 sessions, it'd be half that, right? 300, 150. There's no math in the math squad. That's right. But I think we want to be, we want to be more generous. So let's try to do, if we did 100 points every like 3 sessions, so we usually get 100 per session. Yeah, right. Well, like here, this is the bit here. Generally recommend 100 points to each player at the conclusion, of every 4 to 6. Oh, it's every 4 to 6 hours. Oh, well, that's way easier to figure out. Okay. I just blanked out on the hour part and I saw 4 to 6 game sessions. Okay. Well, that's way better. That gives me lots more to work with. So let's say that gives us like 1,100. We could just round it up to 12. Yeah, 1 session, 4 to 6 hours, 100 points. Exactly. About 1,200 points total, per player across a campaign, right, that we're running. So I can break that up kind of wherever it makes sense. So that's part of the reward structure. Okay, that's good. So And then plus specific story rewards. Yeah, we got about 30 to 32 hours of play, kind of depending. Yeah, okay. Plus specific rewards as the narrative continues. Yeah, as they do certain things. Yeah. Yeah, and that's on the high end because we're only doing like 3-hour sessions, but yeah, that's fine. Yeah. The reason they mention 4 to 6 hour game sessions is because if you're playing 12 hours, you might want to break in the middle and then do that. Okay, that's cool. That's cool. All right. We're not going to dig into reputation points because I don't think that the game is quite like long enough to do that. I think if we revisit these characters, we could come back. Okay, and then let's take a look. The other thing I wanted to brush up on was, okay, so assign story rewards as the narrative demands. And then I also want to talk about alignment real quick because I think that is, it's worth double checking in on because I want to make sure that I'm challenging it correctly and, you know, doing all the stuff that the game needs to make it work properly. So let's look at alignment, shall we? I think alignment is in, well, you know what? There's an index. So let's just look it up. Alignment. There we go. Okay. So starting fate points, alignment. Here we go. Okay. So alignment is a tool for helping you do your role play. We've figured out everybody's alignments. We know what those things mean. Here we go. Role playing alignment. Look to their alignments as you play. Remember, they're merely a guide. Here we go. Tapping into alignment. Going through the so the opportunities are endless throughout the story that prevent instances. Okay, so it's my job to challenge and goad their alignments, right? Which means I need to be aware of them. And then let's see, mechanically, how do they work? Alignment. How does it work? Okay, so at the end of each game session, your alignment has a chance of moving one or more steps. There we go. Okay, so there are many scenarios where the ranks may change. During play, you'll keep track of a temporary value called corruption, and that affects your order or chaos ranks. Okay. Pick the thug off the ground. GM decides what action accumulates corruption. At the end of the session, roll a d10 to see if the effects will psychologically scar you. If the result is equal to or less than the total corruption you accumulated, it'll increase your chaos rank. Okay. So corruption is separate from alignment. And at the end of the session, we check. Okay, I think I gotta look and see because these are like the player facing rules. Let me take a look. Let me take a look at the appendix or the index again. Because I want to see. So those are all the alignments. Is there something in the GM chapter that like indicates how to mess with alignment? So this is all the corruption stuff. Okay. So I think so. I guess you just get fate points as you gain. Oh, here we go. When you gain 10 order ranks, you gain a fate point and reset both to 0. Same with chaos. Okay. All right. So the only way that they're going to engage this mechanism is if every single session, they push, they're going to have to choose to push order or chaos. Otherwise, they're not gonna push all the way to one end or the other because it takes 10 ranks. And we check, yeah, they'd have to lean in really hard. Okay, well, that's good. So, end of session, check if they lean chaos or order. At 10, mark a fate point. Chaos and order affect corruption. Okay, that makes sense. I mean, if anybody's gonna do it, it'll be Andrew, and Andrew will make a bold and brave attempt to push real hard on hypocrisy. If I'm unless they get a bunch of corruption. Yeah, exactly. I don't see this game as being like a big forces of chaos thing, especially not at the beginning, but maybe. I don't know that I'm interested in doing the like H.R. Giger corruption, evil magic thing all that hard. You'll see what I kind of have in mind. So, okay. So that's fine. And that's how that works. Okay. All right, cool. Yeah, so we just got to remember, and I'm going to make this partly your job, chat. Remind me to check at the end of every session. Don't let me forget to do the alignment check. So we'll figure that out. Okay, cool. All right. So let's start getting into prepping this first session. So what are my goals for session 1? What do we want to accomplish in this first session? So we want to establish the setting, meaning not only where, but also what's happening, and introduce, but also what's happening. That's part of setting, right? It's where, but also like the general prevailing like culture. I also want to give each character a chance to show off a little, right? Like, now this is hard to do in a 3-hour session, but even just a single scene to be able to say, we learned something about each character, right? It's going to be fairly easy to do in the first session. We want to establish the setting, give each character a chance to show off a little. We also want to establish the situation, right? Introduce the adversary directly or indirectly, right? We also want to, I think maybe that's it. And then just like start with a bang. Right? Start with something intense and serious. So, yeah. Okay, that seems good. So, the situation, and I've talked about this, I don't know, a million times. So, the situation is that that the characters. So the situation is the unignorable thing that makes the game happen, right? Like the situation in Star Wars is the Empire has built the Death Star. You cannot ignore the Death Star, especially if you were part of the rebellion. The situation is there is a Death Star. The Empire controls it. They're going to use it to blow up planets. You are rebels. Go and wreck the Death Star. That's the situation. So for us, the situation is there are aristocrats who have escaped the guillotine and must be hunted down. The players are paid hunters who take on gigs to hunt said nobility. The nobility are desperate to survive. That's it. That's the situation, right? The players are going after a particular noble. And I think the thing is here, because it's the first session, because I want to start them with a bang, I'm not going to be like, you're in a tavern, there's a bar over there. On the wall, there are pictures of nobles. You may choose one of 14 different nobles. The first noble is Lord Fondlebottom. The second noble is Lady Chaos Blood. Like, no, fuck all that. Fuck all that shit. I'm just going to make up the adversary and say, you are already fighting this guy. Like, you are hunting him. You are in the middle of doing that. Here is what's happening, right? So, you know, technically Lord Fondlebottom, it wouldn't be his last name. He would be the Lord of Fondlebottom. Fondlebottom would be a place or like a duchy or, you know, something like that. So what I think we might do is start them with a success, and then be like, you're actually your second mission. Yeah, something like that, right? Yeah. So that's a framing thing. Yeah, because like Lord Fondlebottom is, there are several, lords that could be, his father was Lord Fondlebottom, and they're before them. And yes, if it was a duchy, he would be Duke Fondlebottom technically. Anyway, okay, so that's the situation. Oh, also, kind of like, well, let's talk about the setting, right? So the setting of this campaign has some rules to it. It has some stuff that's going on. So let's talk about what is what in this setting. What's going on right now? Things that we need to talk about. So I've come up with some new information from the last one. So I've done a little bit of homework between then and now. So the game will take place around the free city of Pylos. Free city of Pylos. That is the big important thing where stuff happens. This is our core setting. The free city of Pylos, formerly the city-state of Imperial Esperine. So free city of Pylos used to be called Esperine, the city-state of Imperial Esperine, former home of King Pedron the 12th, now ruled by the Council of, what did I call them? The Council of Illuminated Masters. A proletarian, like provisional government, quote unquote. Okay, so the setting is the free city of Pylos. It used to be Imperial Esperine, but it is now the free city of Pylos, ruled by the Council of Illuminated Masters, who are the provisional government. Yeah. I mean, you can be the king of an empire. Yeah. Imperial Esperine, as opposed to like another, opposed by their worst enemies, the Illuminated Council of Masters. That's right. Okay. So free city of Pylos, that's where the game takes place. Nearby, a similar revolution has taken place, but we won't be going there. So we don't need to worry about that, right? None of that stuff really matters, because it's elsewhere. And I'm basically just gonna ask Andrew to detail that other place, because it doesn't super matter to me, and that's where they're from. What else did I? Oh yeah. So there is a rise. Many of the counselors, Many of the counselors, as well as much of the populace, has turned to a new religion that espouses peace above all else. This religion is called the Family Auspicious, or as they're better known, the Smile Family. And these guys, I'm so excited. I've been thinking about the Smile Family for like 48 hours straight. So their whole thing is they wear like white robes. They all have the same haircut, right? And they just go around being like, peace be unto you, my sister. Peace be unto you, my brother. Like, they're just scary hippies. They're basically, the vibe I'm going for is Manson family, honestly. Like, I want hippies. I've been listening to, and this is a weird kind of out in left field thought, but if you, I've been listening to a lot of, like old, like punk music from when I was a teen that I listened to. And last night I was walking around in the rain and California Uber Alice came on. It's an old Dead Kennedy song. And it's about California. It's about the governor of California and the weird, like yoga, like happiness cult, right? That he kind of like, that Jerry Brown kind of had going on for him. And it really got to me. I was like, yeah, I want this Smile Family to be like playing the tambourine and singing and dancing and trying to get everybody to like tune in, you know, but obviously they're like viciously ominous. Yeah. So Manson family is kind of the vibes I'm going for. The Smile Family, they just want everybody to smile and be happy, man. And so part of the game's thing is going to be that they're gonna have to come in conflict with the Smile family and maybe learn the truth, maybe not, but yeah, totally. And if you're not happy, they just gaslight you into oblivion. Yeah, they have a compound, probably. Yeah. So I'm gonna need a section. Let's do that, right? Let's have a section for characters and organizations. So they probably won't directly interact with the council, right? So there's the Council of Illuminated Masters. There's the Smile family, right? There's the Adversary, an aristocrat. Then there's probably some kind of liaison guy, the dude that they get paid by. So a hunter's liaison, something like that. We'll figure this character out. Yeah. Yeah, so we'll see. The Smile family is the thing that I've kind of twigged to the most so far. So let's take some brief notes about them. So the Smile family believe in peace and love, promote non-violence. They have a turnips for longswords program where you can come and turn in your weapons in exchange for vegetables. Because they want to disarm everybody. They're like, you don't need your swords anymore. Come on down and get a loaf of bread. Feed your family. Yeah. I think probably the upper level of the Smile family, they don't go out in public, right? Like Mama Smile and Papa Smiles. They don't come out. They're busy meditating. Probably they have tentacles for eyes and shit now, but you need to be highly smiley to be allowed to go and meet with them, or even read from the sacred book of Mama and Papa, right? So yeah. Swords. I like that. Seeds for swords. A Seeds for Swords program. They're trying to disarm everybody. Yeah. You need to be Tom Cruise level or get out of here. Yeah. Okay. They have a compound, a temple compound, we'll call it, outside the city. Maybe that's where the bad guy will hide out. They are a rising religion amongst humans in the Free City. Basically weirdo, hippie, cult, Manson family, etc. Yeah. In this case, the Kool-Aid would be made out of witch stone. Do they have a Sea Org? They might have to make a boat someday. We'll figure that out as we go. Do they appeal more to the older or younger generation? Both, right? They appeal to the old generation because they're like, all you live with your whole life is war and suffering. Now it's time to smile. Pick up that acoustic guitar, grab the harmonica, let's sing. Everybody's heart is happy when you sing. And then for the kids, they're like, let's not repeat the dangers of the past, right? The old folks, they're squares, man. We don't do it that way. Here, take a smiley pill, right? Let's all do laudanum and listen to Brother Jebediah play the banjo. Yeah. So that's their thing. You're kind of good at this cult thing. I mean, cults are my favorite. I love them. I am fascinated by niche artisanal religions, and I love them. I love putting them in games. I just think they're in the words of Marge Simpson, I just think they're fun. So yeah. So there's the Smile family. They're a thing in the game. And then the Adversary, I don't know anything about this person yet. But the Hunter's liaison, probably a former soldier, grizzled, does their work grudgingly. Too old for this shit, right? This is our like, I'd do it myself, but well, old war wound, you see. Right, he's seen it all. He's just kind of like, you know, he's done it. So part of this is going to be, I think for the first episode, we just want to hit him with like, let me make a little note here. So this is what I'm thinking for like the bang, for the first thing. So the bang. Yes, yeah, Nabros, big inspiration for this campaign. Absolutely. Yeah, totally. So Nabros was asking about, for folks who are watching this in the VODs or on YouTube, Nabros asked, have you listened to the Hardcore History episode on the Münster Rebellion? Extremely relevant, bizarre cult included. Hell yeah. I'm down with the Prince Bishop. I know what's up. I know why they got that cage out on the wall. I remember. Oh my God, a public defrowning. Oh my God, they'd have smile-ins. Ugh. Gah. Where they just all gather around somebody and they just smile at them until they break. And they probably like laugh, right? They just laugh and laugh. And you can't tell if it's the laughter of the insane or true mirth, which may have gone from this world. Where like they'll gather around a person and just be like, ha, 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 ha. And you're just like losing your mind because there's all these hippies laughing at you. Oh man, terrifying. Okay, good. Got laugh-ins and smile-ins where they're just like, all right, everybody, let's just smile it out. How come nobody raided their compound? I mean, nobody wants to. They like them. The Council of Illuminated Masters, they love the Smile family. I mean, not all of them, but yeah. Okay, so the bang. Let's say the party is returning from a successful hunt. They've captured some lower aristocrat and they're on their way back to what do we call it? Philos, to turn the sucker in. Unfortunately, they're confronted on the road by what do we think? Yeah, also the Smile family has all these swords because they keep getting them from other people. Unfortunately, they're confronted on the road by, what do we think, like a group of other hunters who want to try to jack them, or former servants of the aristocrat. What do you think? Former aristocrat servant, like aristocrat loyalists trying to rescue their boss, or do we think it's yeah. I think loyalists too. I think it gives them some like aristo goons to beat up. Yeah, okay. Unfortunately, they're confronted on the road by the last of that aristocrat. The last of that aristocrat's living servants come to rescue their former boss and restore their relative peace. Because, yeah, coming in and killing or arresting or kidnapping this aristocrat, these servants are like, you don't understand. We are going to starve without this guy. Like, you are taking away our source of income and survival, right? And the players are going to have to come to terms with like, yeah, this guy's evil and we get money for bringing him in, but okay, all right. So that'll be the thing, a confrontation on the road with these guys. So, okay, so where, let's say on the road north, headed south to Philos, in the woods of, what should we call it? The woods of spilt blood. It's like they're coming through a forest, right? The king, it used to be called the King's Forest, but now it's called something else. Probably because there was a big battle there. Yeah. On the road north, headed south of Philos. A few hours shy of the exit from the woods of the happy little trees. The forest of fallen. Oh my God. There. Everything has two names. Oh my God, that's so good. And I'm gonna keep hitting on that. That's gonna be a recurrent theme. Everything has two names and there's two of everything. So it's like, all right, Joe, well, we'll meet up in a week. And they're like, wait, hold on, an Imperial week or a Republican week? Right? Is it 10 days or is it 7 days? Right? Where he's like, I don't know if it's my birthday tomorrow or if that's in 6 weeks. Yeah, so it's the Forest of Fallen Patriots, originally called the Kingswood, depending on who you are. Yeah. I like that. Yeah. Okay. Yeah, right. And it's only like it's year 0. It's year 0, month 1, day 42. And definitely 2 sets of money. Yep. Yeah. It's 1572. No, it's year 1. I'm only 3. Yeah, no, I dig it. Okay. If you're shy, the except for okay, so that's where. What? An ambush. An ambush by a royalist knight, a handful of servants looking to dispatch the player characters and save their pet noble. And we'll say it's like a dusk. Okay. And then why? We already know the why. I think we got a pretty good handle on this. Yeah. Okay. All right. So what do I need for this opening scene? I need some villains, right? I need stats. So I love doing this part. Let's go find a crappy knight and some losers. And I think the knight is going to be really old, like 60. I mean, really old, but old for the setting, right? Like as old as Masood's character, who's just going to be like, yeah, a hedge knight and some loser serfs who's just like, come on, give him back. You don't understand. Yeah, Don Quixote, all up in this business. Definitely. Yeah. Okay. All right. So let's see. Do we have, I know there's a section in here about bestiary. There it is. Okay. Humanoids. That's what I'm looking for. All right. They're not lizards. So these, oh my God. I forgot about this guy. He's so good. Oh man. If this is what kobolds look like, nobody would kill them. Actually, that's not true. They definitely would. Anyway, I got very distracted. How long have I been DMing for? Jesus. 1996. So 96 to 2006, 2016, 24 years, I guess, this summer. Something like that. No, I'm wrong. 1993. 1993 is when I started playing Dungeons and Dragons. Yeah. So yeah. Okay, so let's take a look through here and see what we can find. This stuff all seems pretty serious, and then we'll check in on main Gauche has some stuff. Yeah, brigands still too tough. Oh, here we go. Deserted soldier, maybe. That could work. Okay, petty thug, also good. Rebellious peasant. Oh, there we go. There we go. Okay, so let's do this is the high-tech way that I'm gonna do this. I'm gonna use the super cool snipping tool. You can find this in any copy of Windows, really specialized software. And then I'm gonna save this rebellious peasant. There we go. Okay, all right. There we go. And then we need a boss. We need like a crap knight. And I think, God, Templar Fanatic seems like he'd be pretty tough. I just need, maybe it's just a petty thug. He's got a cudgel. He doesn't even have a sword. Oh, he does have a pistol though. Yeah, you know what? Let's just make him a petty thug and a couple of rebellious peasants. And that'll work. That'll work fine. Sniveling whelps. Pack mentality. Yeah, okay. We do want to start. I want to start with a bang. Yeah. All right, a petty thug and some peasants here. All right. God bless the snipping tool.